Analysis of Inspector Calls Act 1. Summary. In this act, firstly, the Birling family celebrate Sheila's engagement with Gerald. On the surface of things, the mood seems very good at the beginning. However, there's some cracks under the surface as Sheila makes clear she has some suspicions of Gerald when he seemingly lost interest in her in the previous summer. Arthur then gives a speech to Eric and Gerald regarding business. This is very individualist and a capitalist speech. Inspector Calls then arrives at the scene and announces that there has been a death in the Birling factory. He tells them that a woman called Eva Smith killed herself by drinking disinfectant. We learn that Birling had sacked Eva Smith then from his factory for her striking against low wages, and Sheila also got Eva sacked from her next job in a department store out of pure jealousy. We learn from the inspector that Eva changed her name to Daisy Renton towards the end. We see that Gerald is shocked. His reaction creates tension and makes it clear that Gerald has ties to her. Eric then leaves in distress. Analysis of Act 1. Inspector Calls. The engagement party. At the beginning, the Birlings embody a perfectly middle-class family. We know this as Mr. Birling is a successful member of the bourgeoisie, meaning he's a successful businessman. He has his own business, and the mother is a high society member. She's keeping up the reputation of the family. The son is also doing his traditional role of working within the family business, hoping to take it over one day. Sheila follows the stereotypical middle-class family as she is engaged in a strategic engagement to Gerald Croft, which will further actually improve the family's reputation as the Crofts are of higher status to the Birlings. At the beginning, though on the surface everyone's happy and saying good things, under the surface there are clear hints of conflict. Mr. Birling is clearly quite insecure that Gerald is of a higher status than him, and he consistently tries to impress Gerald or try to make him seem worthy of Gerald. Sheila is suspicious of what Gerald was doing last summer. He says he was busy, but Sheila isn't convinced and replies, "Yes, that's what you say." There is also clear gender stereotyping and prejudice towards women, for men are supposed to be busy with public affairs and work, whereas women should only be concerned with social etiquette, clothes and family, which shows a lot about the gender stereotypes that went on at the time. Birling's speech. Birling then makes a speech. He lectures Eric and Gerald about war and business and gives his predictions about the future. Priestfully artfully uses dramatic irony here. So what this means is he uses a technique that means that the audience knows what is coming before the characters do. So therefore, this is used quite artfully to show that Birling's predictions are very wrong indeed and actually expose Birling as ignorant and overconfident. This is evident as he says strikes will settle down and come to nothing. However, the audience knows that between 1912 to 1945, there were many strikes, including a massive general strike. He also says that the Titanic is unsinkable, which is clearly preposterous to a contemporary audience. Furthermore, he states that there will be no war between Germany. However, only 2 years later, one of the largest, greatest wars that ever took place occurs. World War I begins. This dramatic irony, as aforementioned, exposes Birling as ignorant and overconfident. This may be Priestley's way to suggest that all Birling's views are wrong, including Birling's push for individualism. Then the inspector enters. He calls and says a girl has died. When he enters, he uses very, very harsh language like burnt her insides out. This creates an emotive effect and immediately makes the reader tense as well as all of the characters tense. This means that this is a great contrast from the happy scene that we see at the beginning, which shows that the mood has shifted instantly. He then shows each of the characters the picture of the girl one by one. Expose of Birling and Sheila. The inspector then exposes Birling and Sheila's involvement with the girl by showing them the character and making them actually remember their interactions with her. Birling tells the story of his account with Eva. When Birling sees the character of Eva, he then realises his involvement with her. He realises that Eva was a member of his factory and that Eva had gone on strike against the low wages that Birling was giving her. He states that he sacked her in order to protect his profits and businesses. This shows that he's very individualistic and his capitalist views are exposed as he cares more about his profits and businesses than his workers. Here a political argument is made, for Birling is made to look very bad and almost criminal for using a tough approach against his workers. This is clear as Eva is described as a lively, good-looking girl, making her look like the face of good, making Birling look twice as bad. Sheila is shown a photo by the inspector. She immediately remembers her involvement with Eva, as she got Eva sacked from Millwoods last year out of jealousy and insecurity. This is very, very important because the fact that she was able to use her statement and sack a girl for her own problems exposes the power high society have over the lower class. Sheila, however, admits that she did feel rotten at the time, and the reaction is quite remorseful. This suggests that maybe Priestley is trying to say that Sheila can change, or Sheila has grown up a bit and is not a lost cause. Eva then changes her name to Daisy Renton. The inspector explains that Eva changes her name to Daisy Renton. We think that this might be for a fresh start, however, it could be a different girl, as the inspector was showing different pictures every time. What's interesting about the name Daisy Renton is that the name has a morbid connotation which may highlight her fate, as Daisy could relate to Under the Daisy, which suggests being dead, and renting suggests prostitution. Gerald is shocked after hearing her name, and this leads him to a confession. Gerald then confesses himself to Sheila and says that he did have an affair last summer, and to prevent scandal, he says it should be put to bed. Sheila shows anxiety as to how much the inspector knows, which heightens the tension even further. The tension is at its peak towards the end, as the inspector's actions further increases the tension when he slowly opens the door and looks searchingly around the room, calculating everyone's expression. This makes us feel as if the inspector is almost a judge, putting each and every one of the characters on trial. And finally, he ends by stating only one word, well. This has a very, very powerful effect, as it makes all the characters tense, and it suggests to us again that it's clearly judging and calculating them all. I hope you found this video useful. Support us by liking, subscribing and sharing with your friends. If you have any questions, post it on our forum at examqa.com.